This is the story of a mobile phone that can predict future events. That is, what will be the human's future with this new technology phone? At the start of the story, we encounter a lady at the station who is always glancing at her phone. She does the same thing as she receives texts and leaves the train, because she receives a text to sit on the other train. But she does not sit on the train and attempts to change trains. She was hit by a train for some reason and killed on the spot, which suggests she was distracted by her phone and died. Following that, the movie shows a man named Max who is an IT engineer building a security system in a corporation. When he returns to his hotel after finishing his job, the counter lady hands him a parcel, which surprises him because he doesn't know anyone and doesn't order anything. He travels to Thailand for work. He brought the item to his room, but when he opened it, there was a cutting-edge mobile phone inside. There was the branding of CZT, which signifies that this firm created this phone, but he was startled that no company with this name existed. After a time, he receives a text message on his phone informing him that he should stay one more night at this hotel, since there would be a special deal for people staying there. Max thinks this is a fantastic plan because he wants to explore Thailand while staying one more day. So he books the accommodation for another night and cancels the trip for that night. While enjoying, he learns that the plane on which he was supposed to leave has crashed. It was involved in an accident, and Max thanked God after receiving the news and considers himself lucky. He receives another text telling him that if he wants to be wealthy, he should buy stock, but he ignores it and deletes the message. When he was in his room, he heard the news of the stock's rising value, about which he had received a message to buy. He thought he had escaped because of this phone, and the stock prediction was also correct. Max begins to wonder if this phone can tell us about our future, what will happen to us in the future, or what we may be able to achieve in the future. Then he receives another SMS telling him to go to the other city. Max begins to believe the phone and travels to another city, where he encounters a taxi driver outside the airport. He was prepared to transport him to his hotel in a short period of time. When the taxi driver sees the phone, he is taken aback and remarks, "You have the latest technology phone. I'd never seen or heard of a phone like this before," he says as he hands Max his business card and tells him he's a telecommunications specialist who creates innovative technology. Max is on his way to his hotel when the phone calls and asks him to go. When he arrives, he receives another text message inviting him to the casino to play. Max does the same because he doesn't know much about casino gambling. So he goes to the machine that was directed to him, but a man is already playing sitting there. Max receives another text informing him that there will be a jackpot on this machine, and he pays that man a large sum to leave that machine. The same thing happens, and Max wins a lot of money on his first time. The casino personnel were following him through the cameras and were startled that he knew about the jackpot. Max buys more cards with the winning sum, because he handed the man money to exit the machine. He plays again and wins, and the security team suspects Max because he was playing while looking at his phone repeatedly. When he goes, the security officers tell him not to bring the phone back when he comes back to play. They assume something is in his phone, which is why Max contacts the cab driver he met outside the airport. He asks him to build a device for him so that he can hear the message instead of looking at the phone. But the cab driver asks for some time and then says, "Yes, I can make it." Moving into the hotel, he notices a couple fighting and prohibits the man, but he strikes him in response. Max faints as a result of this. Later, it is revealed that they are casino secret operatives who came here to find out how Max is making money from his phone and hacked his phone data. Max awakens, and the girl thanks him for saving her life, as well as for sending his data to the casino's manager. They still don't know where he's getting all of these texts. On the other hand, the cab driver creates a gadget for Max which he wears on his ears and proceeds to the casino to play again, exactly as instructed in the texts. He was continually winning money, which raised the security personnel's irritation. The manager arrives and apprehends him. Meanwhile, the FBI agents arrive, and the team takes Max along with them. They probed him and demanded that he reveal who was sending him those texts. However, Max is also unaware of it. The FBI investigator meets with the casino manager and informs him that this is not a new case. "We deal with many cases like this. Many people received phones on which they were instructed to generate money. But when they detained them and asked as to where they obtained such phones, they all die after some time. Like always, we wouldn't discover anything about it. Now the police approach Max, telling him that he must support them and discover where the phone came from. On the phone, the officer informs his employer that they have not discovered anything from the location of the phone, but that Max is also willing to assist us. They send Max back to the casino and say we need at least 3 messages to hack this phone. Max receives messages again and begins playing according to them, but he loses. He receives a text message that reads, "I know someone is attempting to access my info," and the FBI agent hacks the phone. Their employer notices this and orders everyone to go because he already knows everything. The cop phones his boss and informs him that the source of this phone is Echelon, a supercomputer. But his boss already knows about the computer. He doesn't tell anyone anything because it could lead to his capture. According to the officer, it uses artificial intelligence designed for security. Hearing it, the boss suspects it has been hacked, and he invites another agent who resembles Max to join him. He was also handed Max's phone, and he receives a message to cross the road, but when he does so, a car hits him. The actual Max, who was still alive and with the girl who was a covert agent, he saved the girl, but he has no idea she is a secret agent. Meanwhile, the girl sees a man about to fire from the roof, and she understands they intend to end Max. Why is this the case? Nobody knows if this is due of the phone, but the girl saves Max while killing everyone else. Max realizes that the girl living with him is an agent who is only pretending to love him. We learn that the FBI's chief sent those people to kill them since he knew something about the mobile. He believed Max knew a lot about him, which is why he dispatched those men to kill him. Max also wants to know where the phone messages were coming from. The boss is also spying on him, and Max hands the phone to the cab driver, who is a communication engineer, and says, "You have to find out who is sending those messages." He claims he'll find out, but it'll take hours, and then he'll try to find out everything. This time, he discovers everything and explains that the messages are transmitted by a supercomputer known as Echelon AI, which can think of anything on its own. Max is perplexed as to how a computer can perform all of this. He claims that this is not a typical computer, and that it can manage a wide range of machines. That's why it instructed him not to fly in that plane because it would crash. He claims that this computer is so intelligent that it can learn anything about any machine. He was recounting all of this when a group of men arrived to bring Max to an end, but they hurriedly left in the car, and the FBI agents were chasing them. Max has one of the officers in his grip, and he speaks the truth. He claims that we wanted to kill him so that no one would discover the secret of this computer that they built. Now that it is working on its own, it can be harmful, which is why they intended to terminate him, so that he would not tell anyone about it. Meanwhile, Max receives a message instructing him to return to the location where he placed the security system. The computer was observing Max through the cameras when he received a text message telling him to link all computers to Echelon, with which that computer would be upgraded, and, after that, it would control all the machines in the world. Max notices that all of the computers are in the Echelon supercomputer. He tries but fails to stop it. We see the FBI officer informing his boss that they must stop this Echelon machine before it begins to rule mankind and the entire world. While seated in front of the computer, Max stated that the goal of creating this machine was to provide people with cybersecurity, to prevent wrongdoing in the technological realm, rather than to govern humanity. Hearing this, the machine transfers all of the tasks it has completed to computers up to this point. Similarly, the data stops and the system shuts down automatically because the computer recognizes that it has become a hazard to people and hence shuts down. Meanwhile, the FBI team apprehended Max, but his detention was brief and he was freed. At the end of the film, it is revealed that the taxi driver was actually a captain working on this mission. He must bring the Echelon supercomputer to a stop. Some of the things we construct in our lives for our advantage are often destructive to us. We should use everything in moderation. Excessive usage of mobile phones or other new technology might be detrimental. This is the final message of the film.